Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make your very own app, and it's going to be a slideshow app. This slideshow project will make you more familiar with Thunkable so you know how the program works, how you'll be able to design and code your app as well, and if you decide to do future projects using Thunkable, it will be easier for you to navigate through the whole website and program. So I'm going to go on to Thunkable and I've logged in. I'm going to create a new app and I'm going to name it Slideshow with 3 W's. So now I am on the editor screen. I'm specifically on the design screen. This is where I can design how the outside of my app is going to look like. But then if you go onto the block screen, this is where you're actually going to code. But for now, we're going to stick with design. So on the bottom left, you have a list of all these components. You have simple components like a button, label, text input. Then you have a lot more complicated components like an image recognizer, camera, animations, Google Maps, location sensor, a timer. So there are so many possibilities. There are so many things and projects you can do on Thunkable. But for our very first one, we are going to focus on a simpler component, which is the button. So I'm going to drag and drop the button onto the screen. So it's going to look like this. And if you notice that over here, this button component was added under screen 1. And I really like this area of Thunkable because it organizes and lets you know what components are under which screen. So if I add another screen called screen 2, and I add a text input, for example, it'll let me know that there's a text input under screen 2 and a button 1 under screen 1. So this is a really great way to stay organized and see where all your components are. So right now we're just going to focus on screen 1. And on screen 1, you can customize it over here. So I can change the background color to, let's say, not black. I'm probably going to go for like a nice turquoise color, maybe a little darker like this. You can also add a background picture, and if you go onto advanced, you can change the sizing, spacing, positioning, and styling. But for the sake of time, I'm simply going to change the background color, but you should definitely explore the other options that are out there. And now for the button, I'm going to customize it. And I'm going to change the text, so instead of saying button, it says next. And I'm going to change the text color to a nice orange. I'll change the background color to a very, very, very light gray, like kind of like a pinkish gray if you look at it. And I'm going to change the font size to 20. And if you go to advanced and go to sizing, you can change the width and the height. So I'm going to make the width, let's see, I'll make it 100 and I'll make the height 50. So that's how my button is going to look like. And there are so many other options in advanced. You still have these 3 sections to look at. So make sure to pause the video and just explore the different options you have. So now I'm going to add an image component. So I'm going to drag an image component onto the screen, and I'm going to go back to simple. So right now there is no picture on the image component. It's just this weird purple mountain picture, which I don't want. So I am going to search up an image that I like, and I actually searched up an Iron Man image. I'm going to right click and save the image as. I'm going to name it Iron Man. So it's down here. I'm going to click on it real quick. So now when I go into Thunkable, I have a file source. So I can click on this blank area, press Upload Files, I'm going to search Iron Man right here. Now I have an Iron Man picture, but it's super small. Like I can barely see his face, I can barely see his suit. So I'm going to change the height and the width of the image. So to do that, I'm going to change these numbers. So instead of 50, I'm going to make the height 200. But now it's really stretched out, so he seems very, very like long and skinny, but I want it to look like this. So the width, I'm going to make it, oh, that's too wide. I'm going to make it 100, and you can always just like test it out. You don't have to settle for one dimension, so I'm going to make the height a little bigger. Make the width like 200. So I'm really liking this. This is the dimensions I want, so I used a height of 300 and a width of 210. So my screen one is done, so I changed the background color, I customized my button, and I also added an image. So we are going to do the same thing on screen 2. We are going to add a button and an image. So right here we actually have a text input because I used it as an example, but we're not going to use it in this project, so I'm going to press this trash can and delete it. So now we have the whole design part down. So we have our image of Iron Man, our button that says next, and we have our image of Black Widow and a button that says back. Now we have to actually code it. So I'm going to go to blocks under screen 1, and we want to click on button 1. So when button 1 is clicked, we want it to go to screen 2. So when we click this next button, we want it to transition from screen 1 to screen 2. So in order to do that, we're going to go under Control, drag and drop, navigate to screen. And right now it just says when the button 1 is clicked, it's going to navigate to screen 1. But we actually want it to navigate to screen 2. And then we're going to do the same thing for screen 2, except we're going to code button 2. So when button 2 is clicked, we want it to navigate to screen 1. So again, when this back button is clicked, it's going to go to screen 1, which is what we have coded. So now we have all the coding and the design done for this app, and our next step is to actually test it on the Thunkable app on your devices. To test your slideshow, you want to open up the Thunkable app, and it's going to ask you to sign in using Google, but since I signed in previously, it automatically took me to my apps page. And when you sign in, you want to use the same username and password info that you used on the Thunkable website to design your slideshow. So I'm going to scroll down and click on the slideshow project that I just showed you. And it shows screen 1, which has my Iron Man picture, my customized button, and my customized screen. So when we click on the next button, it should go to screen 2, which has a picture of Black Widow. So let's test it out. So it goes to screen 2, so it has my Black Widow image, my customized button, and my colored screen. And if I click on back, it should go to the Iron Man image. So this is my completed slideshow app, and I challenge you guys to add more screens, maybe add more images on the same page just to test if you remember how to use the different components I showed you, and it's a great way to get practice for future projects.